Welcome everybody to Mud Flood was Armageddon. Pre-studying the Mud Flood would have helped, but you lollygagged, not you. I'm talking about the other people. The Mud Flood was Armageddon. Flat Earth Nation, Golden Age past. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. But be warned. I'm warning them, RJ.
Yeah,
I,
good idea.
I just finished my freshman year of college for the fourth time.
Eh,
Third time officially. But I did a lot of auditing of classes. And people wonder why is it easy for you? Oh no, it's like Bart Simpson. Didn't he go to the third grade three times? And then he goes like he told his sister, he goes like, third grade's easy. She goes, you've done it three times. He goes like, what's your point?
yeah,
I never did watch The Simpsons, but somebody told me that one. Want to do the Bible verses and then get into the topic.
eh,
You'd think that this is not karma, it's harma of the body, a joint. Get your mind out of the 420 zone. We're talking about Hebrews 4:12. Both the joint and the marrows, the spirit and the joint, it's a one-time usage only. They say it's tied into this word and articulation. See the Greek harma. Okay, well, we'll look it up in a minute, but I want to read the Bible verse to the people. This is kind of got a lot of, I could have gone crazy in this. It's got, you know, to the joints and the marrow, the division of the soul and the spirit. I mean, this is, we can only pick a little bit of the things to go after at one time from the Berean Standard Bible. For the word of God is living and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It pierces even to the dividing soul and spirit. Huh. It's a funny way to put it, but it kind of works. It pierces even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow. It judges. This is still talking about the double-edged sword, RJ. And so it's gone from dividing to judges. We'll just have to take the Bible as it comes, right?
sure.
It judges the thoughts and intentions of the heart. I'm thinking Jesus is somehow this double-edged sword. It's got to be right. But it's also a good symbolic thing of the double-edged sword. Joint and marrow. A chariot, harma, karma, not karma, harma. It was going to be something about joining together. It's going like he was sitting in his chariot. Oh, he joined thyself to his chariot. I think that for some people, this is why there's the famous Randy from around. RJ, wouldn't you say that based on what we've seen in the past, like even these guys that run these horses and race them so professionally, that if you had them join together like a really good chariot rider with a really good chariot and really good horses, wouldn't that be something to watch? Some of those guys
Well,
that
it probably look a lot like what that done her scene, something like
probably
that.
even, yeah, but even more cooling without the cheating, without those guys with the spiked wheels cheating.
Yeah.
Hey Tom, I hope that your spring is going well. So far I haven't heard any disastrous news of God's judgment on your area yet. Better get that grass mowed, brother. I liked it when he used to call us when he was riding in the cab of his tractor, and we go like, "Why aren't you driving the tractor?" He goes like, "The tractor's driving itself," something like that. He drives those really expensive. Whoa, cancel
All the
that.
gadgets. Yeah.
Yeah, he's more of a John Deere guy. You know, he's one of those guys. So this chariot thing, war chariots, Acts 28:8. war chariot thing. Oh, it was 828. The eunuch from the African queen Candace, he was her representative going to worship, and he's going like, help me figure out Isaiah. He was joined to the chariot, I guess. That's 2 Bible verses down. Here's one where it's just a chariot. Joel chapter 2, verse 5. With the sound like that of chariots, they bound over the mountaintops like the crackling of fire consuming stubble, like a mighty army deployed for battle. Where's the chariot? Oh, here it is. RJ, this isn't too scary for you to read a few more verses, is it? What if like verse 3 all the way down to like verse 9?
Before them a fire devours, and behind them a flame scorches. The land before them is like the Garden of Eden, but behind them it is like a desert wasteland. Surely nothing will escape them. Their appearance is like that of horses, and they gallop like swift steeds. With a sound like that of chariots, they bound over the mountain tops, like the crackling of fire consuming stubble, like a mighty army deployed for battle. Nations with in horror before them, every face turns pale. They charge like mighty men. They scale the walls like men of war. Each one marches in formation, not swerving from the course. They do not jostle one another. Each proceeds in his path. They burst through the defenses, never breaking ranks. They storm the city. They run along the wall. They climb into houses, entering through windows like thieves.
Man, that's how they're going to get that's how they're going to get them, man. That's how we're going to get encompassed about, but a very narrow road will be rescued, but for the other people, that's horrifying when you go like, yikes,
Like
here they
the old
come. The guard, they're looking for something that looks like the Garden of Eden, and it's a scorched wasteland behind them. Who wants that? They want Garden of Eden in their mind. It's a trap. Before them, I'll pick it up. Before them the earth quakes, the heavens tremble, the sun and the moon grow dark, the stars lose their brightness, and the Lord raises his voice in the presence of his army. Indeed, his camp is very large, for mighty are those who obey his command. And 2 of them could chase 10,000. For the day of the Lord is great and very dreadful. Who can endure it? Well, nobody, unless God gives us the grace, that adoption thing, that yay, we're sons of God. Here's another one of that where it has that chariots joined together with the people. And they had breastplates, like breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was like the sounds of many chariots of horses rushing into battle. Again, with the sound, it seemed like they focused on the sound a lot. I'm going to sneak in another Bible verse if you don't mind.
Oh, that's fine.
This is like one of the coolest things. Let's see, is it 37? How come I always mess these up? This is because this one we always read too. If it's 39, I'm going to eat my hat. I just want to hear I want them to know how cool horses are. And that besides dogs, I think horses are God's favorite animal. Want to prove it to him, RJ, and read verses 19 through 25? The wonderful, amazing horse.
Do you give strength to the horse or adorn his neck with a mane? Do you make him leap like a locust, striking terror with his proud snorting? He paws in the valley and rejoices in his strength. He charges into battle. He laughs at fear, frightened of nothing. He does not turn back from the sword. A quiver rattles at his side, along with a flashing spear and lance. Trembling with excitement, he devours the distance. He cannot stand still when the ram's horn sounds. At the blast of the horn, he snorts with fervor. He catches the scent of battle from afar, the shouts of captains and the cry of war.
Wow. Say no more. Man, the the horses could be your best friend in the whole world if that. I mean, I don't think we should go charging into battle anymore, but some people do. But if you get a good horse, you can run away with them just as fast. Telomerase, telomerase. I used to call them telomeres, but I guess I was saying it wrong. Sorry, everybody. So fake. What is it? You're supposed to take that flash underwater? Well, maybe. I just don't know. Boy, we sure have advanced so much since when we were born when there were 48 states, RJ. What's that say?
Not certain
I
there.
can't make it out. It was 1861, but it's not an official U.S. coin. Spoiler alert. This guy made it at the Denver Mint, but he's from Brooklyn, I'm pretty sure. This could be the Brooklyn Kid. It's like the skull and crossbone things, I think. That's probably why he saved it. Is this somebody in the mirror taking the picture? It is.
Appears like.
Huh. Hot and cold running water. That's a meander.
Well, yeah, you can only speculate it's hot and cold unless one's soft and one's hard. Come on.
Nowadays, they just both would be lukewarm because our whole generation's lukewarm. We don't care. We don't care about doctrine or anything, man. The Telefunken was founded on May 27th, 1903. It's a General Electric company, but they stole everything from the Germans. It continued in a joint venture. It's the biggest company to this day. It's the biggest companies in Germany. Blah blah blah. Nikola Tesla assisted in its construction. Blah blah. It's that AM thing. Something. Crystal set receivers. That's where we're going. Crystals in your body. Hey, look at these guys. You know what this is? Telephone receiver for hotels. This guy pulled it out of his butt working in this building that they couldn't fix the steps, but inside they had it going on, RJ.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know how it works.
chargers.
They use crystals, I guess. And this is the cart that they build the buildings with. And this guy right here, that is not a come hither look. That is a don't mess with me. And believe me, I would not. You look pretty serious. Crystal radio was invented by a long, partly obscure chain of discoveries in the late 1800s that gradually evolved into more and more practical no footnotes, nothing. You know what I'd get on this? As a recently passed freshman again, I get points taken off. They want footnotes in this crap. You're talking about this crystal radio, spark gap, nothing, just chain of discoveries. Wow.
Pretty generic, yeah, for
This is a rock that had to be surgically removed from somebody because it grew inside them because like kidney stones, liver stones, other stones, they turn to rock because you have everything inside you that is dust and ashes and ready to be turned into a rock. You're a rock. These are inside you. This is what the crystals I was talking about. You'll be checking it out. Now the meniscus, the meniscus kind of looks like a Mobius strip. It's in your knee. 1921. I don't know. I didn't think this was that important, but it had Latin terminology or something. This is pretty good. This anastopic tissues. We're gonna hopefully this will finally click with some people and hey, the rocks look like they could be geometrically formed. No money hat, Sherlock. It's like it's exactly what it. Same creator. Oh, okay. So that's all the purple stuff. Biosynthesis, not really much to just get into here. Just wanted to kind of somehow it works with the goo in your body and that turns it into crystals. Kid you not. This is supposed to be biosynthesis, yeah. Synonymous with anabolism. Oh, well, thanks. What's that? Some more. The prerequisite elements for biosynthesis include precursor compounds, chemical energy, and catalytic enzymes, which they may need coenzymes. These elements create monomers, the building blocks for macromolecules. Some important biological macromolecules include proteins, which are composed of amino acids. Again, no footnote. Just they may do this or that. I guess they're convinced. They don't know what they're talking about. I used to have this stress telling RJ, these people got to have, they got to get control of their diet, right? Isn't that what we've been learning? Especially as much as we've been talking about it for years. The last couple of months, it's like even those hydrogen peroxide pills that you dissolve in water. That sounds like that would work, you've got to get that oxygen rich environment in your blood because cancer can't live in the presence of oxygen. It's from what I understand. I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor, but we can beat the crap out of most 30-year-olds and we're pushing 70. So, I mean, that there is that. Hey, Soy Free, thoughts? Them and Tom, or 9 people watching right now. I appreciate. Thank you so much. You know that dozens will watch this before this weekend is over. We could have 12 or 13 if it wasn't for these not world-ending tornadoes that we're going through, but era-ending United States as a world power. Somehow those predictions from years ago were coming, that when we used to say, we don't know when the economy is going to collapse, but someday. And we can say that again, but right now people are going to pay a little more attention, going like, wow, we might not even make it to 10 years before they said Social Security runs out. What if it runs out tomorrow? Well, what if you're up to your armpits in water tomorrow and your friend's trailer got blown away by a tornado and you're going like, I'd like to help you, but I usually order from Uber and they deliver my food, but they're not answering. I don't know what we're going to do. I'm not laughing, but It's so sad because,
Yeah, it's a game changer, right? Yeah.
I said it and I mean it, and it's not funny, but those people that somehow with 89 tornadoes in 4 hours and these records that they're setting, and you know, I'm on record going like, this is the fall for the economy. We're not going to recover. The insurance won't do it, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And the people, and there, this went down. Nobody got hurt in the first month of these. Whole towns were destroyed. They were all underwater, and then one or two people got killed, and then a few more. And everybody was interviewing. God must love me. I'm so happy to be alive. I was spared. Thank God. And you know what I thought? Tell me that in 2 months. Tell me that in 2 months when your power is still not on and you realize the insurance company is not coming to help you. Your friends are getting a little sketchy. You haven't heard from your loved ones in some time. Weird rumors are going around. Are you going to be thrilled to be alive, or is it something that they've programmed you to be ready for through your TV shows and videos? Or I hope they're ready, RJ.
Well, there's a couple scenarios there that in that statement. I mean, even if the insurance company either cut you a check or did a direct deposit to your account, whatever, the logistics, what's the likelihood that, I mean, it's so overwhelming. Who's going to build you or rebuild what you lost in a, what's reasonable within the next, 18 months?
Oh my goodness, yeah, I guess 18 months. Wow. Ooh,
Well,
I know. I know.
and
Okay,
then,
I was thinking of the logistics. Who you going to call the sheriff and go, remember that great big propeller powered boat that just skimmed over the top of the water that you rescued me with? Could you come and get me again? I need to drive me into Denver so I can check to see if they deposited my check. I know they didn't do it the last 3 weeks, but maybe they did this time. What do you mean you're not going to come pick me up? A far-fetched scenario, possibly, but we don't know. A reminder of it's not an advertisement for, although Tom probably knows a good tractor when he drives one. I mean, he drives the very expensive stuff. So toys, they're all brand new. That's kind of old, but I had to bring it back to your attention. The first toys really in the 1800s were teaching children how to whip horses and stuff. The other toys before that were puzzles, or horses and carts. It was, I don't know. Just wanted to remind you, toys are new. Puzzle locks, mechanical games, they all came down to somehow these combination locks tie into these dodecahedrons and trick locks that, you know, you wanted to keep something private, you just made a fancy loop knot that they couldn't figure out. Reviewing on the plunge, I think this was one at the end of the Christian Golden Age. Can't figure out the red band. I didn't bother to count these things. I'm just assuming it's 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so we got, and then the all-seeing eye. Maybe that's a way of acting Christian. I don't know, but plunge was weird. They're cleaning up in Philly.
Well, does the estimated around 70 people would be displaced?
Again, I'm NBC 10's Lucy Bustamante. All of what
Reused
you just saw
for
is
news.
part of Mayor Sherelle Parker's effort to clear out the open-air drug market.
Oh,
NBC
really?
10's Shaban McGurl, she's live along Kensington Avenue with a closer look at the cleanup efforts. And Shaban, you were
They're
there
gonna clean up that crowd.
Lucy, well, I'll tell you right now, this
Watch him push them with the bicycles. That's kind of what I thought was this was a new
few hours ago.
form of crowd control.
Sidewalks, they're gone. And so are the people who lived inside.
This is old school, this elevated train. They actually probably had to rebuild.
But here in the community, there are
who knows how old anything is.
Went about this. The plan was for work to begin at 8:30 this morning with teams of city outreach workers and street cleaners. But by the time we arrived just after 7, most of the people who were living here were already gone. The cleaning was well underway. We just heard from the city's public safety director. He said that when this morning's rain moved in and police arrived to block off the road, people started leaving. A handful were connected to treatment today. Others dispersed to the surrounding area, according to people who were here. Within a few
This is
hours,
an organized effort. Get it in and clean it up.
Noticeable. We spoke with a woman who lives just around the corner.
Boom, it never happened.
I think this is a good start because they get the area clean. The kids won't be scared to pass through here, go to schools. And you don't got to floor drugs. There's crime going on. Like, I think that once they do this, I think they should keep up with it.
Now, the city says by law, with this encampment resolution, if anyone comes and does try to set up any tents within 72 hours, they will be taken down immediately. In the last 30 days since the city gave notice, they say that now connected 36.
There's your cops. Look, they're on bike patrol.
Workers are still here right now, continuing that work, hoping to get in touch with more people. In Kensington, I'm Siobhan McGurl, NBC 10 News. Lucy, we'll send it back to you.
Well, all right, Siobhan, thank you for the update.
Somewhere in here, they show him pushing the people around with the bikes.
They say that this cleanup effort has been a long.
Now, this is video we got from a neighbor of when police started moving into the area. You can see some. Now, this video we got from a neighbor of.
They obviously aren't going to use the bicycles for exercise. They're warped
Other
genius.
than carrying it, that's their barrier for, plowing them along.
Yeah, move it, move it, move it. I wish I could make more Starfort videos. Because everything was a Starfort. And it was recent too, This is this is an eyeball. Well, anyway, I saw that lake in Mexico. Teluchicapa. It's a hard one.
Another example of a city built using advanced irrigation and waterworks is Venice, Italy. Although this city wasn't exactly built to take on flooding, it's a good example of how man has developed intricate technology.
You know what that city's built on? Over 1 million tree stumps, poles that they cut. And they say they pounded them. Somebody did. There's 1 million poles that hold up those buildings. You know why they did it that way? Too many other cities were getting tunneled underneath and undermined and then attacked. So how can you tunnel under that? Venice ruled for quite a while.
To live in flooded areas. The people of Venice created wood waterways, and due to the composition of the water, the wood fossilized and turned to stone, creating the long-standing structures we see there today. Another example of this is the Aztec city of Tenochtitlan.
See, Tenochtitlan is a hard word to say, but this was, this is a model of God's eye, and this is a model of the uterus, everyone. And believe me, when you're ready for the meat of the word, it is ready for you.
And how they built rafts of vegetation whose roots eventually lodged themselves into the lake bed, creating livable land in the middle of a lake. And the Mayans used this technique as well. These starforts could possibly be another version of these types of cities. So what do you think?
Everything to me, to me, MudFlood was Armageddon, dude. It all makes sense. Everything just happened. This was the city Jesus talked about when they were making purple and everything else. Paul's friends, royalties with. When he was preaching, and that one young man, what was his name, Euclius, fell off of a 3rd-story loft while he was listening to Paul preach. Well, that makes sense in a Starfort. A little bit more of this. Look, it's just great stuff.
He fell out the window.
Miter gates. The lock ensures that the water level on each side of the lock remains constant. Starforts are designed in such a way that hinged gates would be a simple addition to the node points along the star shape.
Well, that's enough of this guy. Don't worry. There's always somebody talking Starforts, baby.
Not only what were they actually originally used for, And who actually built them? Could it have been an advanced civilization from much more in the past than what we're told? Yes, it could be that. I think that a gate.
I didn't do that. It jumped ahead.
Hmm.
Looks very, very similar. And it just took me off that page. Let me go back
Oh, that
on
was her.
here. I think by now I would have all these things figured out how to work them. But
Structurally anastopic tissues in the human body. Collagen's one. And it can look like, petrified wood, but, it's little fibrous. These could look like steps, and I wonder how come some wore out on angles. Oh, gee whiz, everything's so hard. I know, skin, it makes funny patterns. Skeletal muscles, it almost looks geometric. Oh, this is your bone of what people think like, oh, it's a petrified tree. You're silly. Sorry, but they can't help it. Cardiac muscles, it's the Gordian knot untied in my mind. It will be physically, Lord willing, someday. I didn't want to read all of that. I just wanted to highlight this part here. Additionally, the reduced nanometric scale of the generated fibular structures may have a low influence on the behavior of rather large cellular entities and the preparation of ordered fibular-like hydrogels of relevant clinical size though this approach is still challenging, but nobody can say they don't have high goals. Well, here's that meniscus anatomy. Just go in the order that they have them. Crescent shaped joint cavity in humans, it's the knee and the wrist. It's your joints. Meniscus, it's where they're giving us arthritis, and if we eat right, we can make it go away. It won't bother us, but we can't eat their Doritos and things. We just can't, unless it says on their bag, these are made from organic corn, non-genetic modified. Then you could eat those Doritos. They make them. I've ate them. They're good, especially with a little bit of that like 7-layer dip. Yum. I used to have this taken out of my knee because they and they would do the arthritis too. Although insurance would only pay for them to take out some bone spurs in the meniscus. Etymology, the word joint is a past participle of the verb join and can be read as joined. Excuse me. Joint is derived from the Latin incus, past participle of the Latin verb join, unite, connect, attach. Okay, so they sure proved that one, didn't they? Here's some joints. This goo is really something special. You got to keep it working. A lot of joints in your body that can be helped by the food you eat. Not going to get tired of telling that. This rhomboid, I got one in my pocket. They form inside you. Really, it's just like Euclid. If you want to go back to this guy Euclid, it's so old. And yet, listen to this. Of quadrilateral figures, a square is that which is both equilateral and right angled, and oblong, that which is right angled but not equilateral, a rhombus, which is equilateral but not right angled, and a rhomboid, that which has its opposite sides and angles equal to one another but is neither equilateral nor right-handed. And let quadrilaterals other than these be called trapezia. From the time of Christ, this could be a little bit before that. There's this guy's, and we are supposed to think they're dumb. I think everything we learned from these guys. We wouldn't know crap. You know. These are not rocks. These are kidney stones. You turn to stone when you run. I turn to stone when you coming home. Radio phones in New York.
Radio phone in New
Chair
York
fair use for
hotels.
news and
Radio
information.
news, June 1922. Calling Mr. James Smith, shouts the hotel bellhop. Calling Mr. James Smith.
Now, what I
June
realized
1922.
is that
Calling Mr. James Smith.
stop.
June 1920.
He just is reading this, so I'll just read some relevant parts. He gets paged. Mr. Jones on the America wants to speak to you on the radio phone, sir. 1922, this is. He's 300 miles out at sea, and he needs a wireless radio hookup. No problem. Just take the nearest telephone booth. Thank you, sir. Mr. Smith went to the telephone booth, talked to the man on the ship America 300 miles out. A little later on, rather than being bored, he wanted some entertainment. He said, call me at 8:30. I want to listen to the radio when Miss Aether sings the rosary. No, this is not a fanciful dream. We're not conjuring up possibilities for the year 1923. Is actually happening or about to happen here or now in several New York hotels. And this is one of those machines they invented. Pretty cool. 1922. What is entropy? Scientific concept that is most commonly associated with a state of disorder, randomness, or uncertainty. The term and the concept are used in diverse fields from classical thermodynamics, which this is all going back to their second law of thermodynamics and Isaac Newton, and the Boltzmann explained it, in 1870. They really don't know crap. Everything just turned out. He used the analogy of how water falls on a water wheel because that was their world, people. They were trying to figure it out. It all happened in 1711. It's been a rewrite of history ever since. Stone tools. This is where they got their pear-shaped hand axes. Somehow they make a big deal out of this. These are body parts, but they go, no, it's a hand axe. It's just weird looking. They did it. Well, maybe it's a body part. Maybe it's a body part. We're rolling right through all this stuff. Oh, my bad.
Particle, which contains also a protein which is called TERT. So what telomerase does is it takes that single-stranded G-rich strand, it aligns the 3' N nucleotides by Watson-Crick base pairing onto...
I know, it's super boring. But if you don't make the time to read it yourself or trust me or look into this, it's going to be on you. Because all we can do is warn you. We warned you about the weather that's coming. We warned you about the money that's crashing. We always tell you, please don't fall in love with America because we might not be the good guys. You got to know this. It's all coming down to eat the right food. Don't be crazy. That natural language thing, you sent me a thing about the natural language processing, and a guy was talking about words and stuff, making it seem like they had a really ancient history and historic past, but it only went back to 1940s. And again, the guy who supposedly, the gay guy that we couldn't live without because he was the English mathematician that was chemically neutered, but they used him up first to say he invented the computer, and then they chemically neutered him, and I think he killed himself or something. It's a tragedy, I tell you, but very interesting stuff. I'm going to rip through this. In 1920, 1922 in the radio. Let's see. Get it working on the Eiffel Tower. President Warren G. Harding introduces the first radio to the White House. Things were really changing. Isn't that crazy? 1922. There's something going on there.
Well,
And
I'm sure it had to do with marketing and people had, the need for, purchasing the wireless, and then
I
you have
could
to
not,
broad.
yeah, I could not get anything about this wireless phone through a paywall, even with my, Adams University pass. They still wanted money from this to tell. And so you can see they were selling hotel wireless receivers and crystal radios. The history of the crystal radio, digital detector, simple radio receiver that it's powered by a rock, just like those
Well,
very
what was that wireless fax machine you had?
yeah. I don't know. I didn't look it up. I was too into this. I only get a few hours to get these things set up in between classes. Right now, they'll be better though. Now that I'm done with school, soon. Spark gap and arc transmitters. We got to look at that. But the fact that it was, certain metallic minerals such as this can be used to detect radio signals. When I was young, when they were experimenting with how to do fillings in TVs, people were going like, "You're not doing it wrong. How do you know?" And they could put their mouth in a right position and they would hear the radio. They go like, "Because I hear the radio in my mouth." It's weird. So obviously they found these somewhere and reinvented them after the reset. MudFlood was Armageddon. Gonna fly now. What's a spark receiver? This thing's crazy. Wait till you see the spark gap receiver. Okay, well that seems like big deal. So Paco, you're an exaggerator. It's not that big. Well, that's getting bigger. Wait till you see the arc one, because they both kind of work together. So they just, in those barns, they invented these, Hertz first oscillator. Good guess, buddy. Nice job. Would you see the size of these arc things? Now we're talking turn of the century. Hey, we need to get the radio out to see 300 miles. Okay, here you go. I built this for you. That's the Brooklyn Kid. Have you ever heard of him? He's super famous at this kind of stuff. He worked in
It had to be that size in order to, 8 inches per mile squared to get out 300 miles around over the rainbow thing.
I've never heard of the Federal Telegraph Company either. Of all the people in the freaking world, it's like you could build this machine and you can stamp Federal Telegraph Company on it. Well, guess what? You're not AT&T. You don't count. So there's, you get a little arc converter from 1903. They stepped it up on the size, but really it's just boom, da da boom, whatever that means. Boom, da da boom. Closing in on our good time. So we mentioned Telefunken earlier, that the United States stole their info from to run the United States, shared it with their Nazi friends in Germany. It became the biggest company's joint venture of, yes, they're still in business. And Siemens, where would the world be without them? For crying out loud, they're everything. Nikola Tesla, crystal sets, run by Galena, vacuum tubes, grid electroid. They got us right where they want us. RJ, do you think we've won the culture war?
I think that'll be ongoing. To say that you're saying, is it over? The culture war, is it over?
I'm declaring it. I think it's over. I think we lost. Abortion's been legal for 50 years. They're selling the day after pill on Amazon. I don't see us making a comeback. I wish I could say.
Yeah.
What's going on here? What is this?
Can you hear me now?
This guy's probably sitting there going like, turn the page better. He's playing a machine. See, he's got the foot. No, man. It's a Telefunken. this was made by the New England Electric Music Company. Was very popular at one time in the United States. It's a teleharmonium. Come on, also known as a dynamophone. It was an early electric organ developed by Nikola Tesla, no, Thaddeus Cahill. You patented it. Electric signals from the teleharmonium was transmitted over wires. It was heard on the receiving end by means of a horn. Well, that horn was, where's the big horn on this one? And why isn't it bigger?
Well, that's not the receiver. That's where they're playing. The receiver has the horn.
Oh,
Isn't that what it said?
probably.
And where
Got a couple horns. It's got one going each way. Probably could.
they're coming or going?
They're going to go deaf in there. Telefunken. They're still in business. I had, I think, one of their Telefunken kettles, or my sister did. There's some of these that you can set the timer on, and it will keep your water at boiling for 15 minutes. Very handy. So Telefunken got into the TV.
And why not?
You got to play that Telefunken music, white boy. Trying to lighten it up. It's the end of the world, but we were ready. Hydrogels, peptide-based hydrogels. Oh, it's because I peaked my wrist up too high. Peptide-based hydrogels possess exceptionally biocompatibly and biodegradably qualities, giving rise to their wide use of application, particularly in biomedicine. As such, their physical properties can be fine-tuned in order to maximize their use by eating right, not by doing whatever they got going on here. This is some weird stuff. Hey, why can't they just leave their hydrogels alone? Hydrogels is a biophastic material, a mixture of porous, permeable solids and at least 10% by weight or volume of interstitial fluid, mainly water. There's a hydrogelatin sheet. Anyway, we're going to be getting into what's this gels and stuff in our body and how important it is for us to be stretching, learning about the extracellular, hopefully with not boring them to death with like just eat right, but trying to prove that like you want your blood right, you want to live right, because this world could be going to hell in a handbasket faster than we thought. Anastropy.
So you're not saying eat more Jell-O?
No. Please don't. Not unless you find some yummy Jell-O.
Artificially flavored Jell-O.
This has something to do, RJ, this anastropy, with the way that under pure light you see things different. Here it mentions hydrogels again. Researchers have built composite materials with aligned fibers and voids to generate anisotropic hydrogels in order to mimic hierarchically ordered biological soft matter. You know what? They couldn't make a non-metallic robot to put in people unless they had some type of technology like that. And they probably wouldn't be able to guide it. Unless we were made with crystals and things that, damn, if they couldn't steer it if they wanted to. But good thing that they wouldn't do it. We had a friend in Argentina one time talking about the United States and other people that, have the Fergian cap on their Department of the Army stuff. He was way up there, Brazilian lawyer, served as president of Brazil until the war. And then after the war, from 1945 to 1950, 1951 when he shot himself in the chest and died, saying, "I'm now." What's his famous words? He's still considered the father of the poor. What's his famous quote? I now am going to kill myself and be a part of history, or something like that. That's all I got, RJ. So we'll see what manana brings. Tomorrow I'm going to go and talk to the people and just tell them, hey, look, you know, I want to stay here for the summer. How much does it cost? Looks like, since I don't do anything except study, I haven't spent any money. So my Social Security.
You can't tell me you're willing to mow some lawn for them or do.
I'm not willing to mow some lawns for them. I don't need to mow any lawns for them. I've got the money. I'll pay them.
Okay.
You know. So you up for in the morning, or what's your schedule?
I'll take the girls to school, but I have to pick them up at noon, and then later in the afternoon is you have 2 shows for dance. It's not competition; it's dance.
A recital. Okay.
Tomorrow night there's 2 shows, and then there's also 2 shows on Saturday. But we're going tomorrow night and taking it in.
Okay. Well, we'll see what happens in the morning. We'll do a Bible study. Yeah. I always have the Black Madonna thing that I just took some pictures of.
Right.
And Lord willing, we'll be here to remind people that it's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon, and we're never going to tell you anything else unless you debate us and prove to us that there's a chance that after all this time we could be wrong about something. And before you hit something, go like, I'm going to talk to those guys. A lot of people have said that. They've looked into what we said, and you said, you know what, I think we'll not debate you. As a matter of fact, that guy Neil that wanted to invite us to a conference, and then he turned out to be kind of a flake. He still wants us to come. Oh, we got that to deal with. We have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Goodbye.